So welcome everybody for the class. As you all know, the title of the class and session says it all, that we are going to be talking about the written examination process, the part 1 examination of ADC and the process and preparation of it, and the what is the entire format of the exam is, how you're going to step in to the examination center, what is it going to be for you for the 2 days that you're going to experience in that center, 4 sections. How are you going to be preparing? And before you prepare and before you apply for the exam, the assessment that you have to do for your documentation in your native countries. So basically, as you know, it all starts with applying for the initial assessment of the examination. And I'm sure most of you who are planning to take the March 25 examination either are in the process or have already done it, or are just compiling your documents or are in the process of doing it. So please know that the exact dates are yet to be announced by the ADC on the website, but the last years and this 24 years dates are already there. So based on those dates, it would be somewhere around those dates only that you would have to have a deadline of application of your assessment. So always know that there is always a deadline for the application of the assessment. After that deadline, you cannot apply for it. You have to apply it, so there is still enough time, and that's usually by October end. So you have to apply by that time, and it can still take time for them to process and approve it, but that doesn't mean you can't be eligible. Only the application has to be done before the deadline, and then the application to the examination process starts, and then the booking of the center with the Pearson VUE happens. So these are the 3 steps before you go for the examination in the March that you have to take. You have to start with your initial assessment, and then you have to take your written examination and then the practical examination. These are the 3 steps that you have to do for the ADC process. Now we are predominantly talking about the written examination process in today's session, and going to be giving you the insight about the format of the examination. Because once you have the format of the examination, that will give you a complete insight of how to prepare for this exam, right? So as we know, initially before September 2021, if some of you have taken the exam before and it's your repeat cycle, it's important for you to know that the format of the examination has changed. A lot of students have reached out to me and who joined me for the September exam, for this March 25 exam, also informed me that it's their repeat cycle and their written has expired and they took the examination before 2021. So they were still aware of the old format. An older format used to be paper-wise, or you can say papers were divided into subjects. So paper 1, paper 2 on day 1, and then on day 2, paper 3 and paper 4. So paper 1 and paper 2 were the subject wise divided. Paper 1 has operative and endodontics, and paper 2 had prosto, then paper 3 had pedo, ortho, then paper 4 oral medicine, pharma. So there was division of subjects over the 4 papers. That means you knew on one day, on the first half, you have to revise those particular subjects, and on the first day and the second half you have to revise a particular subject, and on the second day you go back home and you're reviewing pedo and ortho and oral medicine and infection control and stuff like that. So that was till September 21, where you had the clear distinction of the papers divided based on subject. Now please know that that format is no more valid. That was an old format. So probably if you're repeating your cycle, you may be in the habit of during the exam revising and focusing on the subject wise revisions. Now, current format since September 21, right, is that the examination is section wise. So this is how your 2 days of examination are going to look like. They're going to be 2 days exam, which is going to be section 1 and section 2 on first day, section 3 and section 4 on the second day. Now, please note these sections are no more dedicated to particular group of subjects. Am I making myself very clear with that? Because what happened in the March 25 also, there were few this September 24 exam, there were few people who actually still thought that it would be subject wise. So that is why I'm not leaving any doubt in the room, and I want your full acknowledgement of this fact that you completely acknowledge that all the 4 sections would be multidisciplinary, would have contribution from all the subjects from all the 4 sections. Is that very clear since the beginning to everybody? Because you're setting the foundations today. And of course, you would be preparing initially for few weeks subject wise, because you cannot subject all the subjects simultaneously. So that's why initial preparation has to be focused on individual subjects. But you know that during the last 10 weeks of the program or last 12 weeks of the program, you will start to prepare and study all the subjects simultaneously. Your brain would be multitasking between the multi-disciplines. So all sections will have all the subjects. And you get a 2-hour break in between those 2 sections. The 2 sections are also 2 hours, right? And you have 70 questions in each of these sections. And total 280 questions are asked, out of which 40 questions remain unmarked. And 240 questions are the marked questions on behalf of which you would be scored and given your grades. The passing grades are A and B only. Earlier, before September 21, A, B, C used to be the pass. Now only A and B are pass, right? There used to be 5 grades earlier before September 21. Now there are 4 grades only. So A, B, C, D, E used to be the older criteria, whereas now it is A, B, C, and D. So A and B are only the pass ones, right? Now, what it means is all the subjects would be asked on all the 4. So that is a benefit. Why? Because sometimes it used to happen that if your certain subject is weaker, especially I've heard in a lot of 8 years that prosto is mostly the monster that scares everybody, right? Other than the prosthodontists who take this exam, it usually scares most of the people, right? So then it used to be a fear that if one subject is weak and you would, flunk that particular paper. But now it being multidisciplinary, the advantage is that you still have strength and your strength can shine in each section. And that is why even if one subject is weaker, you're not going to get a failing grade because on that paper. So that makes it an advantage. Now you're getting scored on 4 clusters instead of 4 sections, right? You don't have to get, so that means if your one section went wrong or did not go as well and the second section go really well, third did not go as well, so you don't have to worry because you don't have to clear or crack individual sections. Again, very, very crucial to know that you don't have to crack individual sections. You have to crack individual clusters. So all sections will be asking you 4 clusters. Am I making full sense right away? It is a mental attitude that I'm preparing you for, because you would be hearing a lot of past candidates. They will come back and tell you, my this section did not go well, my that section did not go well. That's fine, that's natural. After examination, there is a rush of so many hormones that you might feel anxiety and nervousness, and you may not be able to gauge immediately how it really went, right? So trust me, it doesn't really matter if you're not after the exam knowing how it went, because results actually will tell you how you performed in the exam. So if one section, second section, something you missed, it doesn't matter because cumulatively on the 4 sections, individual cluster gets assessed, right? So you are focusing on the 4 clusters. And individually, we will be preparing in the course also for all the 4 clusters. So the clusters there are 4 clusters: the professionalism and health promotion. Then there's going to be information gathering cluster, diagnosis and management planning, treatment and evaluation. Now, ADC is going big on professionalism and health promotion questions a lot, right? So there are a lot of ADA policies, health promotion policies, that we are going to be doing in this March 25 course, because a lot of questions can be asked about the disabilities, patients who have disabilities, indigenous patients, right? Overseas treatment, patients who come and who had done some treatment overseas and now want to get the treatment. So all those crucial topics, they have been and they will be covered in the March 25. Yes, they are absolutely, Tanu, you're right. They are all on Drive, but this time we are going to be covering them during the sessions, as in I'm going to be highlighting them in terms of what is the most crucial point to learn from them, which is directly getting asked in the exam, right? So that health promotion article, that the entire folder that you have on the Drive, I am going to be discussing individually the crucial concepts on all those professionalism articles, health promotion articles that can be directly asked in the exam. So that's what we are going to be doing in this particular, and this forms 25% of your score. And you know that clearing each cluster is crucial. You cannot pass in 3 and then get a pass. You have to pass in all 4. We all understand that here. I want it all to be extremely clear and a complete vision form today. There has to be a very clear vision form today for everybody, so you know that what you're aiming for in the next 6 months. So this is the 25% of our examination that we have to get right. Have to. This is a huge cluster on its own. And we are going to be doing all the crucial ADC recommended guidelines on them. Then talking about the clinical information gathering. Of course, as you have, some of you have started advanced and you're already started the program and you're doing the advanced program now. So you know that you are doing the basic questions and the basic concept classes right now. So when you're doing the basic classes on those individual questions, you are studying about what is present in the history. What if this condition is present? Then what would be the differential diagnosis? We are all doing that in operative, in endo, how to identify your provisional diagnosis. With clinical information gathering, you have started to practice looking at the provided information in the question and what it could mean for the patient. Is that correct? Have you started noticing that pattern in the basic questions while you're doing the classes? That you read the findings, the chief complaint of the patient, and what the set presented information could mean that the condition is. So that's what you have started to learn about. As we move forward into the weeks now, I will individually take the classes on individual cluster, and I'm going to delve even deeper on each cluster. Today, I'm going to give you a brief overview of all the 4 clusters, right? But as we go further into the weeks, I am going to be talking about individual cluster and what all you would be focusing on when you are preparing a question, when you are learning a concept, which cluster it would apply on. Immediately you would know. Do we want that immediate grasp on every concept or not, that which cluster it applies to? And when you take the mock exams, when you start taking the subject wise mocks, and you make mistake in a particular question, I will teach you, then you will be, as I've given you the logistics and analysis technique, that when you make mistakes, you will analyze where you're going wrong. Is it the language reading problem? Is it missing of the keyword problem? Is it being confused between 2 options problem, or not knowing the concept at all problem? Is that right? I've given you the self-analytic tool, right? When you're making mistakes in mocks, how you analyze your mistakes and how you rectify them. So as you start taking the mocks now, when the course officially begins, you will start with the subject-wise mocks initially. When you start them and when you make mistakes, you are going to analyze to each mistake where you're going wrong. And now the fifth component of that analysis will be which cluster it is. So every time you take a quiz, you will write down on your notebook that this is the cluster. Okay, if you made mistake on what was the investigation that you would do and you went wrong there, that means you're going wrong in information gathering cluster. What would be the differential diagnosis, or what would be the most likely diagnosis? If you're going wrong there, that means the diagnosis and management planning cluster needs to be strengthened, right? If you go wrong in what should be the next treatment provided, and if there was option between, for example, hypothetically, composite veneer, porcelain veneer, or a composite restoration, or a full crown. For example, 4 options were there and there was a defect on the tooth, and you choose wrong treatment plan for that patient, then you will analyze, okay, I went wrong in the treatment planning or treatment evaluation question. So that means my cluster, I need to strengthen that. When you start analyzing your mistakes on the basis of the cluster, you will get an overview and a bigger picture where you're making more mistakes. Is that right or wrong? So for the first 8 weeks, when you take individual subject wise questions, and you get an overview of in which subject, what cluster you're making more mistakes at, would you then have a clear picture where to direct more energy when you're revising? Will that be a helpful tool or not? When you do that approach, are you getting the technique that I just explained? Right? So we are going to be applying that as soon as we start the subject wise quizzes and mocks exam, because they would have all the 4 clusters asked. And if you made a mistake in like the patient's behavioral or social factor was given to you in a question, and then a question was framed to ask you how you would manage that particular patient, and if it needed a referral, or if it needed, maybe there was a language barrier, it needed a translator, or maybe there was an abuse happening in the family and you need to identify them and then report to the authorities or make further investigations on that. So that is a professionalism and health promotion cluster. So again, whenever you go wrong, so I am dissecting the entire SBQ here for you. I'm giving you a clear-cut dissection of all the mistakes that can possibly happen. And once you learn to accept and acknowledge your mistakes and work on them from day one in the examination centers, they would not happen as much. And that's what we desire to do. Is that right? So that is our approach going to be, and that is exactly how examination is testing you on. Is that right? They are testing you on individual clusters and that you're competent on individual domain or cluster. Now, these are the subjects. Now, anyone who's joined my course or has been in my course or attended any of my public session knows one thing about me, that I emphasize on doing TG and ODEL 5 times. Is that right? Everyone knows here the golden rule of doing TG and ODEL 5 times. I know you might hate me for that, but you know that you gotta do, right? And then every time we get together, we sit together, and then you tell me that, ma'am, you've asked me to do it 5 times. It's so tough. It's so difficult. How are we going to do that, right? Rocky, on ODEL, only the cases that I have listed for you, the 49 cases that have been covered in the course, the core cases that I've given you, only those, not entire ODEL, okay? Now, I want to now bring to your perspective why I say that and why it is crucial. Because once you see the thing now, what the way I'm going to put a spotlight on this thing, you will not risk not doing TG 5 times. Okay? So you will absolutely, absolutely make sure you do it 5 times or even more because I'm going to put a spotlight on something right now. On the left side of the screen, do you see the percentage division of what the questions are coming from which discipline? Right? So this last subject you see is the highest percentage, which is 12%, but you see that it is restorative dentistry, which includes fixed prosthodontics. So that means it is operative and fixed prosto combined, and it's 12%, so that means 6% individually, right? So usual distribution for each subject is roughly 6 to 9%, right? Let's give it 10% for say. Now let's look at this, what I'm highlighting. How much is dental emergencies? 7%. 1. Count with me, okay? Covered in TG? Yes or no? All the facial swellings are your dental emergencies. All the severe dental pains are your dental emergencies, right? Covered in TG. General medicine, medical emergencies, and special needs dentistry covered in TG. Number 2, 2 subjects. Perfect. Then coming to pain and behavior management. The anxiolysis, sedation, behavior management, pain management covered in TG. Third, preventive dentistry. Fluoride application, fluoride subscriptions, all the mouthwashes, the preventive, the CPP, ACP, everything covered in TG. 4. Oral medicine and pathology. All your oral lesions that get asked in the exam, the white lesions, the red lesions, the traumatic ulcers, the other ulcers, the red flags, everything. 5. How much does that make if we dedicatedly gave almost 10% to everything? If you combine all this, 50% of the exam roughly comes from this source alone. 290 pages or so, right? And we cover in our program word for word, TG. If you did this, if some of you have been attending my public sessions from the last month, I know you have joined advance and you've been doing the medical emergencies chapter with me. You've done the management of medical conditions with me in the power sessions that we have been doing. So you know how we do word for word. And the September 24 candidates, when they did those emergencies with me and they did those medical pathologies with me, and then in the exam, when they were faced with the similar questions on the same concepts, imagine the kind of confidence that you get. Now, do you get it? Why I say the 5 times TG rule and the 5 times Odell rule? Because Odell teaches you all the clusters on all the subjects in one chapter. Individually on each chapter, you get to prepare all the subjects in all the 4 clusters. Do you have any other source other than TG and Odell where you do all the 4 clusters all together in such a nice and a condensed way? Nothing. So now would you swear by this 5-time rule of Odell and TG or not? So that is why knowing TG word for word. And now, why do you remember in the last class, also in the Tuesday session, also I talked about 2 most important pillars of preparing and clearing this exam with 4 A's. I wrote it on the group also for you all to remember it. I'm going to reiterate it throughout the program as well. I want to ask you, do you remember? Anyone here remembers the 2 pillars? No one? Okay, I'm gonna show you. And I did not see it till I was preparing for yesterday's class that ADC totally agrees with it. Knowledge and skills. Did we talk about these 2 things or not on the Tuesday class also? That you need the conceptual knowledge and your critical thinking skills, right? Is that correct or not? So when you are doing all these subjects, all the subject-wise classes on a weekly basis, you are acquiring all the knowledge. And when you take the weekly subject-wise mocks, you are going to develop the skills. Because I'm teaching you now, when you take individual SBQ in the mock exam, how you are analyzing the mistakes. When you work on your mistakes, only then you will highlight that which skill is lacking, and then you will work on that skill. Is that right or no? So that means you require 5 skills, basically. You need to know how to find the keywords correctly on the given history. You need to interpret the meaning of the given history correctly. You need to know the rule out technique between all the options. And you need to be confident on all your concepts and know for sure where the closer options are given. You need to know the triaging of the treatment planning. And then you need to know which cluster individual question is coming from so you can strengthen all the 4 clusters for the examination. Am I right when I say that? So that's how you hone your skills. And with Winspurt program, it will start from day one with your subject-wise mocks. Now look at another thing that I want to also focus on, that you do all the 8 subjects, right? And then you do TG and then you do ODEL. Is that right? So 50% you're doing TG and ODEL, and then other subjects are also coming with their 9%, 7%, and 6%. Do you know what is another subject on its own? Your 90-page file of infection control guidelines. That is on its own equally as any other subject. Do you see that? So that also comes in the category of 5 times review. And infection control guidelines, we will also do together in the program word for word. Am I making myself fully clear and giving you a complete perspective on what's important for you in the coming 6 months? So as important it is for you to know endodontics, operative, and your prosthodontics, perio, pedo, ortho, etc. Equally important is infection control guideline. It's a 90-page file now, the newer one. The last one was about 68 pages or so. This one is a 90-page file, and we are going to now do the newer one, word for word in all the classes. And now doing it once with me will open up your mind to all the protocols, but it's the multiple revisions again 5 times that will land you in the exam bullseye accuracy on each answer. And do we want that or not? Preventive dentistry will be part of treatment plan, Vinny, right? Preventive dentistry can also have more clusters also because you will need to have information gathering where it is needed. So some questions would be entirely on preventive dentistry, like a child with early childhood caries would require the entire management from preventive dentistry view. There could be interceptive orthodontics that also comes in the same category, right? Then for periodontal problems where there is gingivitis and you have to prevent it from progressive to periodontitis. So multiple disciplines can also come into preventive dentistry. The plaque control, the diet control, and then those questions can be asked in all the 4 cluster format, Winnie. How? Because you could be acquiring information from the patient's diet history, from the patient's brushing history, from the patient's oral hygiene history, right? And then there can be question on the diagnosis history, because you have to first categorize the patient into the risk category, and based on that devise a plan for them. So risk assessment is kind of like diagnosis cluster there in preventive dentistry. And then comes the management and treatment plan. What treatment? If the fluoride is needed, what strength of toothpaste you would give, what age mouthwash can be given, right? Where the varnish would be given, what is the compliance of the patient, what is the age of the patient. So again, preventive dentistry can be asked in all the four clusters. God, I hope I made myself clear. Percent clusters have equal percentage. No, Suhas, that is why we have this session. That is why we have this session, that this should be crystal clear for you. If you are not knowing the C's that you're going to scale and sail, then how are you going to navigate them? So know the C that you're going to sail, right? Where the storms are. So clusters would be equally distributed. See that? Cluster. Do you see the chart on my screen, Suhas? Clusters are individually distributed roughly. Cluster 1 health promotion is 20%, clinical and treatment evaluation is 20%, and information gathering and diagnosis management are 30%. Unscored questions are 40, Sumaya, on out of total 280 questions. 40 questions are unscored, but nobody knows which questions they are. So I would say just prepare like every question is scored, that your life relies on each of them. That's how we are going to prepare them. Okay, we are not going to take lightly any question in the exam. You can't leave a question thinking, oh, it might be unscored, let's leave it that. You will look at each question as scored question, but 40 would be unscored, but only ADC knows which one that would be. So we are not caring about that, right? So know that health promotion would be 20% and treatment and evaluation is 20% also. Information gathering, that means investigation questions would be more. Diagnosis and management planning questions would be more, because if there are 5 sub questions in each SBQ, so let's say if they are dividing it, then one question is health promotion, one question is treatment, then other 3 would be from information gathering and management. So slightly more towards the chief complaint and information gathering and investigations, and the diagnosis and management planning, right? And subject wise, I've already told you, all the subjects get asked and they are going to be divided on all the 4 sections. So Suhas, day 1, section 1, it will have all the subjects intermixed, and it will have all the SBQ. Each SBQ will have all the clusters asked. Suhas, when you have one SBQ, all the 5 questions underneath, one question would be from information gathering, one from management planning, one from treatment planning, one from health promotion and professionalism. So for each SBQ, all the 4 clusters would be underneath them as sub questions. Am I making sense now? Is it getting clear? That is why for each SBQ that you answer in the exam, you have to get all of them right, because all the questions are contributing to individual cluster. I believe the gradings are percentile basis, but then nobody knows exactly what it is. So what you don't know, what you can't control, we won't focus on that. What we can control, what we can work on, what ADC has already told you in the handbook, let's focus on that and make that our strength. I would say, to get the pass in this exam, be on the top 10% of the lot. Of course, they take 25 to 30%. That is their most passing rates in part 1. But, you aim for the stars and you land for the moon, that kind of thing. So if you aim to be on the top 10%, then you will absolutely be in the top 25 to 30%. Now, other important thing is how I'll help you with this program, how Winsport prepares you to be on the top 10% is when you take weekly mocks. When you start with your mock assessment on a weekly basis, you are immediately in the grasp of where you stand. And from day 1, you can start improving yourself and be on the top scores. Be on the top scores. Is that right or wrong? And then we take a distribution curve throughout our entire program. With each mock, I take a distribution poll, right? Where the scores, where the entire course top 20% students are. Is that right or wrong? So we try to see what are the top scores and we start aiming for that. Is that right? Now, coming back to what I was explaining, do you see infection control is an individual subject like any other subject? And you have that one guideline to prepare for it. And similarly, radiography, you have as an individual subject, just like your prosto and your oral surgery, oral medicine, everything. Individual two subjects. Now, because now you have, so you do understand the 5-time revision rule will also apply to ICG, which is infection control guidelines, along with TG and ODEL. And now this time in March 2025 course on Winspert, you will get, as soon as we complete the infection control guidelines, you have been revising it for 3-4 times in all these weeks, as per your study plan, you will get an infection control guideline mock examination based on SPQs. So that will immediately prepare you. That's another subject-wise mock there for you. And because TG is 50% of the entire syllabus, you get 7 mocks on therapeutic guidelines, right? So you have 7 therapeutic guideline mocks, and you will get infection control guideline mock as well. And you will get the X-ray practice tests for the caries, periodontitis, dental pathologies, which includes the cysts. So the other day you asked me on the group, right? You're confused between the benign tumor, the malignant tumors, the OKCs, the myeloblastomas, right? And the cementoblastoma, benign cementoma, focal cementoma, right? All those cemental dysplasias, the focal one, the multifocal ones. So all those important pathologies practice would be provided. Ronak, I think you asked that, right? So all those practice tests would be provided to you. Where it is Langerhans kind of radiolucency, where you see the floating teeth, right? And then where there can be a malignancy which usually metastasizes to mandibular posterior area, how that would look, how a traumatic cyst looks like, right? The scalloping effect along the roots, how the Staphy's defect look like in the mandibular region, how you would differentiate it from the submandibular fossa, right? Inferior alveolar canal, external oblique ridges, internal oblique ridges, all the crucial concepts for the radiographic findings, radiographic landmarks, radiographic pathological examination and diagnosis, they will be provided to you as the practice test. The OPG errors, the bite wing errors, and your IOP errors. Everything is going to be as test. So again, why as mocks? Because mocks give you an understanding of how you're making mistakes and how you can rectify them. Is that right? So these are 2 individual separate subjects and you have mocks on all these. Then you have mock on oral surgery, oral medicine, pedo-ortho. So from week 1 onwards, you have 7 mocks on TG. So from the first week until the next 2 months, in the 14 weeks, you will get individual subject-wise mocks on all these, and then your monthly ninja mocks, which will help you graduate to a super strong level. And in the end, as you can see, going back to the sections, you will get the same 2-day grand mock experience, which would be well ahead of the exam, not just close to the exam. And you will get section 1 for 2 hours with 70 questions. Then you will take a break for 2 hours and then you will start with the second section. And then second day you will come back and you will have section 3, 70 questions, 2 hours, and you'll take a break. So you will go through that entire process and then practice it, right? So this is how block by block The entire program is built. Now, when you look at it, it is so well planned from day one till the last day before the exam. You have no room for confusion. You have no room for guesswork. You have no room for what am I going to do. You have no free time for any abstract thinking. You need to be focused. You need to be planning. And then, wherever from the crevices the anxiety and nervousness creeps in, then I'm there to talk it out with you. So I'm going to be with you on the WhatsApp one-on-one chat. So you can message me those emotions. We're going to talk it out. And just like friends, we just talk about it and just get rid of it and move ahead to the next day. That's what we are going to do about it. So I hope it gave you the full clarity of clusters. I'm going to be talking about in the coming classes. I'll announce that when it happens, individual clusters. Now I hope you get the examination format, the day format. Absolutely not, Anshul. When you have this much practice, trust me, you will finish 1 to 1.5 hours. So in 60 to 90 minutes, you will complete those questions, depending upon the hardness of the paper. It can take, if it's really doable, then you can do it in 60 minutes. If it's harder level, then 90 minutes, or maybe a little longer, but you will always have the approach that we are following, that you'll always have 15 to 30 minutes for the review of all the questions. And Anshul, all these mocks that you're going to start, they are going to be giving you 100% practice on time management. All the mocks would be timed based on the questions, right? So thank you so much, Rocky. And that's the motive, that's the emotion I want you to have throughout. If you're a winner in your mind, that is going to reflect in your reality. And Rocky, trust me, by the end of the program, you will already feel like a winner because of the knowledge that you would have acquired that would turn you into another level of a dentist. You would not be performing at your usual levels at all, I can assure you, once you graduate the Winspert program. Thank you so much, Megha. It's all your valuable words, but I'm telling you, I don't do anything other than breaking open your own potential. I just help you realize your own highest potential in the next 6 months. Thank you so much, Rocky. It truly, truly means a lot. You have to do 270 questions, which would be 70 questions, Suhas. So each SBQ has 5 questions. So that means you have 14 SBQs in all sections. Overall, 56 SBQs, Suhas. Right? Richa, we are ahead of the program. So no weeks have already passed. You are all doing advanced program. Okay? So you are all starting. Thank you, Harpreet. I'm happy you're enjoying the public sessions and you're feeling inspired. And please stay in touch with me on my Facebook group. Do you attend my public sessions? Please join my public session group on WhatsApp also, because there I announce my mocks, the public mocks. And you please stay connected with me on Facebook as well. Thank you, Grishma. It truly means a lot. Ajay, I'm truly happy that it's helping you that ways. And any questions you guys have, please drop me a message on my Facebook group. Not like a personal message. You can drop a message on the Facebook group. You can write a post if you want. If you're a personal person, you can also message me on my Facebook profile, my personal profile. You're free to message me. Thank you, Chandni. It means a lot. Thank you for your dedication. I yesterday night I was thinking, Chani, that there are people who have cleared ADC and they still come back and see my classes and they message me when the app access is stopped and the students have cleared the exam, and they message me that they miss hearing the sessions and they miss watching the classes because that's what they have been hooked on in the last 5 months. It becomes their Netflix, right? So that then they message me that they got hooked on to watching me every day, and how they miss me, and it makes me emotional that I have to go through that phase every 5 months, every 6 months of letting a batch go and then welcoming the new students. But but it did inspire me as well to continue bringing more insightful sessions for you, where you can have a personal connect with me and ask me that what it feels like really to take the exam. I do not want to just start teaching and give you the concepts and be done. I want you to own this examination like it's a very doable and approachable exam. And I think ADC is very warm too in those terms. They're very welcoming when you ask them any questions for your assessment, anything that happens, they're very warm. The handbook is also extremely helpful. So I think it's just dentistry. You are all dentists. Once you understand the format, when you break it down into steps, I totally believe everything that is humongous, if you break it down into baby steps, it gets very, very doable. And then less anxiety and less nervousness creeps in. So there are 14 SBQs, Suhas, if you were to say. There are 14 SBQs in one section. Each SBQ will have 5 sub-questions based on that case also, and it could be a general question also, right? All good, Suhas. Ask away as much as you have because it will help other people also. Are you getting me? 14 SBQs in each section, 5 sub-questions based on the 4 clusters that I showed you here, right? So when you start, for example, with a question that first question is, okay, this is the chief complaint of the patient. What investigation would you do? So that is an information gathering cluster question, Suhas. Yes or no? Give me a yes or no, Suhas. So I know I'm getting and penetrating your brain now. So individuals SBQ. First question you see, okay, this is the patient's chief complaint. What are you going to investigate? What investigation would you do next? That's your information gathering cluster, right? Comes next. Okay, once you did the test and this outcome came out of it, what do you think is the probable diagnosis? What do you think is causing that? That's a diagnosis and management planning, right? What is the diagnosis of the question of the particular condition? And then the second question could be asked, okay, patient has a flight to catch. What is the minimal emergency treatment you would do for them? So multiple treatment options would be given to you and you have to know the right one. What should be done in a minimal emergency way, right? You can't choose an entire long-term plan. You have to mark which is an emergency treatment. So that's a clinical treatment and evaluation kind of question, that cluster. Then it says, okay, patient is trying to, or it's really hot day, patient's wearing a full shirt, or a patient has some bruise marks which are outside the safety triangle, and you suspect abuse. What are you going to do next? Those questions are professionalism question, right? And then the question asks, you also notice that patient is snacking in between and all that. How you're going to manage that? So that's health promotion. You're going to talk about, improving the diet and everything. All hypothetical, but I hope you got the zest of it. No, no, Davas. You're not doing the entire study plan 5 times. Only TG, ODEL, and ICG. These 3 resources. Can you do Dava 5 times? Tell me that. No, no, I'm not asking you my entire weekly plan to do 5 times because my weekly plan includes the revision of everything. So no, Kathy, no individual MCQs, only pure SBQs. SBQs, when you have 5 questions, sometimes they can have a question in those 5 which can feel more general, not just case related, Kathy. I hope you get that. Sometimes individual SBQ can have a question which can sound generic and general. When I teach you all the papers, when I teach you all the questions, when we do the sample SBQs, then you will learn and see how I'm talking about what I'm talking about here in the exam, in the live classes. When we do the live classes weekly during the program, you will see when I point them out. See, this is a general question. See, this is a specific patient's question. I will help you even get a perspective on that. You will immediately tell from the keywords, from the language, is it a general question or is it a specific? For example, what are the contraindications to implant? And what are the contraindications to implant in this patient? Answers changes, Kathy. Is that right? Because in general, Contraindications to the implant, you're going to prioritize based on the given options. But what are the contraindications to implant in this patient would be marked based on the history of the patient. Does that make sense, Kathy? So, yes, SBQs can contain some individual questions which are general, not pertaining to that particular patient only. But we are going to be preparing to the T and trickle down to that depth and detail when we prepare for this exam. Thank you so much, Rania. I just thought that probably I had never done a session like this. This is the first time I had done a session like this. And I'm sure this is going to be available on my Facebook as well because it was live. So I'm going to keep this there. And you can use it as a tool to come back and again whenever you feel confused about the entire format, or if you find a friend who might need some insight about it and they're not clear about it. Because I thought there was a lot of vagueness. I felt it in my students also. I would not deny it that no matter how much I try to explain in the class also, there is cloudiness and there is some confusion regarding the same. So I thought that doing this would break it down and give a, and it's good to do it now rather than explaining you in the end. Thank you so much, Sumaya. I'm so happy it helped you. And I'm going to be announcing about the coming classes in some days. I'll announce it on the Facebook group, on WhatsApp group. Please join my WhatsApp public mock group as well, my Facebook group as well, where you get all the information. And I'm doing the picture tests on Facebook also. So please, guys, come and answer. I come back also next day and I give you the explanation. You can ask me questions on the comment section there also if you want to clarify any concepts, any doubts you have, even a concept which is slightly off tangent of that picture test. Please get interacting with me on my Facebook group where I will be posting the picture test. I love to talk about concepts mostly. I mean, you would find me that I don't really love to talk about random things more than I talk and love to interact with candidates about the concepts. Yes, Mega, let me see that. Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, P, that's your question of Odell is really important. See, if you got 3 A's, really great for you. But I'm saying that if it's contradicting with TG, only those say it's a very easy thing to do. TG always wins. So whenever you have a contraindication, instead of getting confused, why don't you apply that rule? TG always wins. And only there you swap it. But what else you have in Odell is nowhere else. Yes, all the questions are MCQ format if that's what you're asking. There is no answering in writing format, Mega. No, nothing. Only choosing amongst the 4 or 5 options. So, M, I think instead of resisting it, give it a try once. You may not fall in love with it immediately, but try doing it maybe, 3, 4 cases, and then probably see that how it really helps you answering the SBQs, how it is dissected. Because imagine, M, for every condition that mostly gets asked in the exam, it has given you a tabular form of the various treatment plans and triaging. It has given you for all the conditions the differential diagnosis. It has given you all the investigations that you need to do for most of the chief complaints, right? Have you noticed that, M? If you have been through ODA, and if you haven't, then go through it again and you'll see what I'm saying here. Yes, that is why, Richa, we are only doing certain cases of ODEL because everything else is not ADC relevant. Only 49 cases to be done from ODEL. That's all. And then go through the 2, 3 questions from operative, do the broken down molar case, do that case of radiation caries, do the vertical root fracture case, which is endodontic case gone bad. So 3, 4 cases, look at them. You will see what I'm trying to say here. Wonderful, wonderful. And those concepts are precisely what are very commonly asked in the exam. and it's given and it's broken down in terms of variation. So you will know what I'm saying. If you don't mind, can I ask you which cluster was it that you could not clear so that I can give you some help here so that you can work on that cluster and what you can do for that? Clinical treatment and evaluation. Okay, now, M, that is a very crucial cluster because first thing is ADC tricks you in terms of, as you know, it will give you multiple correct treatment options, right? As we all know, it's not very easy that it will give you all the random treatments and then one correct treatment. It will give you multiple correct treatments possible for the patient. Is that right? How wonderfully ODEL fits into that situation is when ODEL you do and look at individual cases, how I have done in my program. When we talk about each individual ODEL case, we talk about how this particular patient and this particular history and the age of the patient, the financial constraints of the patient, the social needs of the patient will change the treatment plan. Based on multiple factors which we practice during the class, you will get to know that where implant is indicated. Example, where FPD, where a removable denture, where if you're giving a removable denture, where it would be acrylic, where it would be metal based, right? And then if it's a labial defect, where it should be a composite restoration, where it can be a veneer, where it can be a ceramic veneer or a porcelain veneer, or where it can be crown. Similarly, when you have a badly broken down tooth based on the remaining tooth structure and the walls and the gingival margins, we learn the different treatment plans starting from the inlay to the post and core treated crown, right? So where you have to do prophylactic endo, give a post, where you have to do crown lengthening, right? Where an onlay would do, where a full crown would do, where a direct composite restoration would do. So these are certain examples that I'm giving you, that triaging the treatment and knowing in dentistry mostly based on various factors, the age, the existing dental conditions, the social factors, the financial constraint of the patient. So multiple factors goes through, and ODEL touches all of it. When you do the tooth wear chapter from ODEL M, it talks about the patient's financial constraints, social needs, right? Remaining teeth, where you're doing confirmatory approach, where you're doing rehabilitative approach in tooth wear, where you're doing a full mouth rehab, where you're doing just an RPD with a confirmative approach, and where you can do composite on the anteriors and crowns on the posterior. All that requires a deeper understanding of different situations. And that's what ADC is, different situations, different scenarios, right? And that is why they are scenario-based questions, scenario-based clinical treatment evaluation, right? And ODEL gives you multiple scenarios to practice. So I hope I made myself clear here, guys, not just for M, but for others. Megha, I hope your question was answered. If I have missed other questions, please drop me a message. You have my WhatsApp, you have my Facebook, you have me everywhere. Just pin me down and just ask me questions, right? All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for being a fabulous audience that you always are. I look forward to have other public sessions with you. Then a public mock will be coming soon as well. We are going to be announcing that soon. So stay tuned on our Facebook and let's keep learning. Happy studying. No question is silly, Megha. Go ahead and ask what is it, and then I'll sign off. Thank you, Lara. Thank you, Maheen. Well, hopefully in 4 to 6 weeks. So let's hope probably in October, second week of October. Yeah, we just have to wait. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a fabulous, fabulous weekend ahead. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.